Hey, beautiful soul. Before we jump into the episode, I want to know, did you know that I have a completely free virtual new moon circle called Co-Create every single month? This stemmed out of a constant request for a space or a church that taught so many different spiritual modalities, tools, systems, beliefs, and I didn't have any place to send them. So I created it. In Co-Create, this is the space that I want to bring to you to learn how to create a connection to yourself, your energetics, and the divine in a community that won't make you feel like a weirdo. A space where you can ask any question you want, where we get to dive into so many systems and beliefs and tools, and you get to pick and choose what feels good for you. So you can learn what it means to truly co-create with the universe, God, source, for flow, trust, and surrender, to connect with other women who are spiritually curious in a space that's safe, sacred, and inspirational. It's your space for you to find your people and lean into new spiritual practices to truly co create with the universe or God or source or whoever you feel connected to. You'll gain tools and knowledge to understand what it really means to lean into the universal laws and become magnetic, all while being held by massive feminine energy. I've been hosting these free new moon circles for almost a year now, and it's definitely one of my most sacred spaces, and it's completely free for you every single month. Diana said that she made a promise to herself that she would work on her personal development and growth journey earlier in 2024. So I reached out to her and asked her for a testimonial to share with us. And what she said was Adriana's membership community and Co-Create has accelerated that and more. I have had multiple breakthroughs from finding a new career path, improving my mental health by reducing my anxiety and depression through journaling, meditation, and breath work, improving my physical health, doing walking meditations are my jam, strengthening my marriage and relationships, improving my money mindset, and just setting up a routine that complements my design. I've learned to embrace challenges as a sign of growth. I will continuously do my best to be in harmony with myself, with this world, and the universe. I have never felt so seen, heard, safe, and supported. Her community and Co-Create has helped me connect to my true authentic self, to move with grace and intention, to embrace everyone's uniqueness. And we each have a special gift and are collectively part of this world to show and share it this way. Thank you so much, Diana, for sharing all of your reflections and how Co-Create and my community has changed your life. And now I want to share it with everyone else. The link to register is in the show notes below. Even if you register for 1 month, you will automatically be signed up to be able to join every single month for as long as you're on the list. So you don't have to repeat it every month. You will always get on the list. You will always have the Zoom link available. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Now enjoy the episode. Welcome to the No BS Human Design Podcast. I'm Adriana Keefe, human design coach and motivational speaker. I went through my quarter life crisis in my 20s and had to learn how to navigate through finding what I was meant to be doing with my life. I refused to believe in the culture that said we were all meant to have the same path and boring careers until we retire and die. And along my journey, I found human design, a system that reveals your energetic blueprint, showing you where and how to access your body's consciousness and how to live as your true self. Human design changed my life, so I started sharing it with others and changing their lives, but we were all finding the same problem: a lack of resources that explain the system in easy and useful ways. So I created this show where we dive deep into the lessons of the human design system without the BS and the noise you find on the internet. Listen in for lessons in human design, finding your purpose, manifestation and spiritual practices, human design within business, and so much more. We connect with other experts in the human design and spiritual realm in a refreshingly honest way to help you find your way along your spiritual path and live this life with intention. It's time to let go of the societal expectations of being and let yourself find abundance through being uniquely you. Let's get started. Well, hello there, beautiful. We are talking about one of my favorite things today, one of my favorite tangents, I should say. Not so much my favorite thing because it's my one of my biggest irritations in the human design community. And we're talking about why embodiment matters. This is actually something I felt really intimidated by when I first started not my human design journey, but the idea of teaching other people human design or of reading charts. It's because a lot of human design educators out there intellectualize human design. And while that may work for some, I have found it doesn't actually translate into your life. And what I mean by that is, are there human design experts out there who know like the whole system, top to bottom, can recite every gate from memory and have this like astonishing amount of information in their brain about the system? Absolutely. Do I? Definitely not. And I am also not someone who I would consider to be an intellectual. I love mental stimulation. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a very curious person, but I don't consider myself like the smart one. I don't retain information like that. I retain body memory, which makes so much sense if you actually see my design. But this is something that I had a really hard time with when I was considering stepping into human design. And for the first, to be honest, like 2 years of being someone who reads charts or who shows up as a human design expert, it was super intimidating to be up with like, in connections or communication with like other experts who just had an astounding amount of knowledge. And I would judge myself for that a lot. I was like, why can I not intellectualize like they can with this information? And it took me a while before I realized, or before my body actually came online and let this feel true to me, was that I'm not here to spit out information at you. I am here to help you bring what you know to be true into your body. And from what I have seen, this is the biggest necessity in this industry because there's thousands of people who can read charts and do all that. And it doesn't, I'm not talking about just human design, like any of the systems. And that's incredible. We have an abundance of resources and we have a severe lack of people guiding and teaching how to actually change, how to actually decondition, how to bring your body online with this and have your nervous system feel calm around the aspects of you that you feel ready to bring online, how to have your frequency match the energy that you actually want to call in and become. When you are just learning the human design information and educating yourself, while that can be exciting and fun, if if I'm here just throwing this knowledge at you, nothing changes. So let's talk about why embodiment matters and why so many people live cut off from their bodies, especially in business or leadership or anything. I mean, let's face it, as a woman in today's society, most of us are cut off from our bodies. Let's talk about how human design can offer you a reconnection to your body. And that is the difference. That is what I am here to actually share. It is not just straight information. Yeah, I'll go down the rabbit hole and I love studying more. Like I'm in a variables intensive right now. And I will always bring it back to what feels true for me. How do I experiment with this in my life to find what's true for me? And how do I bring my body into a place of agreement with it? How do I actually begin to live as this person in my life? It is much deeper than just learning about it or thinking about it. So let's start with the problem. The problem of us as a society being disembodied, disconnected from the body. We have very good reason to be. So if you are hearing this and you're like, oh my God, that is totally me. It was me too. That was why human design would not land. It triggered the hell out of my body most of the time, and I could not feel any sort of sacral response. I could not feel my emotions. I was on a lot, like, what's it called? Anxiety medication. And there was just, it was nothing. It was like I was dead below my head. So obviously, if you've been here for a minute, you know about my trauma, my abuse. It was very good reason. We all have reasons why our body has dissociated from our brain. It's been survival mechanism for the insane society that we live in now. So we live in our heads. We live in a thinking, intellectualizing world. And that's actually only true for a very small population. The majority of us need to feel the emotions, need to feel the sacral response, like the gut, like get down into the body. And instead of forcing our way forward with more information, this is why when I launched the mastermind, it was not focusing on the information, it was focusing on the connection, the community, the me holding your hand while we rewire you, right? Because we don't need more information. We are so fucking over the information. And we disconnect from the wisdom of our bodies. So, for example, when I first started in just general life coaching, this was this was before, was this around? I think it was before I learned about human design. And then very briefly into like a few months in, I learned about human design, but I didn't pick it up and run with it right away. And I was trying to force so much into my existence for this new business. I was literally the most perfect coachable client because I did everything I was told to do to the point of exhaustion. And especially if it didn't feel good, I still did it because I was like, well, this worked for other people, right? And same with being a mom, same with being a friend. I was like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? And not only was that exhausting and it didn't feel good, it didn't feel pleasurable or sexy or anything, but it didn't fucking work. Like, did you ever hear about Adriana, the life coach? No, you didn't. It didn't work because I wasn't connected to what was true for me. And what was true for me was that actually wasn't as exciting as I wanted it to be. I'm a very sassy individual. And general life coaching just felt so general. I was like, this is weird. There's a lot of life coaches. I don't feel like I'm one of a lot. And then all the different systems and frameworks and things that people told me to do didn't feel good for me. It wasn't how I was designed to do anything. So then I got to this point of like, well, nothing's working. And then human design came back into my life. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll actually like give this a whirl. Got nothing else to lose, right? And this is where the shift begins to happen. This is where, yes, at the beginning, intellectualizing it, I'm learning, but then I recognize my body is in resistance or I'm not feeling it. And I'm like, okay, Google, 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 continue to Google. If I had Chat GPT back then, I would have Chat GPT'd. And nobody was teaching me how to actually integrate my human design. So shortly after that, of course, the universe provides, I was introduced to tapping, emotional freedom technique. And I was like, wait a second, I can combine these two things and retrain my body and bring that connection back online. And so that's what I did. I started experimenting with like, how does my body feel? Am I feeling a gut yes or a gut no? Do I feel any sort of emotion around this? The emotions took a while. Emotional clarity was really hard. This took a couple of years. Now I'm a lot more clear, but I will say it's a lot has to do with like a deep spiritual connection where I feel like I can talk to my guides or source and I can find a more grounded truth in that. But at first, the emotional was definitely tricky because I would look for the magic bullet and things. And I was trying to ride the high of an emotional wave instead of like waiting it out. If it, a couple of days later, I was like, this still feels exciting. But then, like a week later, I was like, I really wish I didn't do that. Right. So I had to learn all of this myself. And it took some time. And I'm still very much in experimentation. Like, I don't ever say that I am, quote, done with understanding how all of this works, not one bit. So I'm still experimenting even today. And I still share that all the time, especially in the Magnetic Rebellion. So we start shifting the body, right? Our body is a temple of truth. And human design preaches that and isn't fucking actually following through with that. This is not just a tool to get things done. This is not just a think about being this version of you and just decide to be this version of you, and here she is. If it were that easy, I think we'd all be like fucking millionaires, right? We'd all be like law of attraction, right? That's the secret. We all think about it and we get it. It's not that easy. So, when we tune into our body, when we're starting to actually listen and take what we're learning from an education standpoint, the things that we're thinking about and intellectualizing, and when we can experiment with it and drop it into the body, this is how we access what aligned feels like for us. And aligned for me is going to be different than it feels like for aligned for you. But this is the ultimate tool. Human design is an incredible tool, an incredible system, but ultimately it is your body that is, I don't even like the word tool for that. The navigator. Yes, I'll go with navigator. And human design just opens up your brain to understanding that that's possible for you. Like people like Tony Robbins, he might know what human design is now, but I would bet he did not when he started his business. And I would bet he tuned into his body a lot for a lot of shit. And that led him in the correct path. So even if you didn't have human design, the body still knows. Human design is not the key to unlocking the body, but it is a tool. However, human design as the only tool without actually trying to open up and heal your body is not efficient. This is not, actually, it's not even just not efficient. It doesn't work for the majority of the population. This is something that we're doing a lot of work in the magnetic rebellion over the next few months. This embodied power is so important. And I feel like every month that goes by for me in this work, the angrier I get with this community, not you guys, but like the human design community, because there's so many more people coming out and just like making up their own rules or just giving straight information and nobody's actually like bringing it into the body or talking about how to actually let this feel safe for you. Of course, keep my caves environment over here talking about like, let me give you a safe space. Like that's literally what I'm designed to do. So just play with this. Like, I know if you're here, you're more interested in actual embodiment. You've seen what it looks like for me throughout my sixth line experience over the last few years. And maybe you're starting to see like what's possible for you, how things can be a little bit easier, more magnetic, and just fucking magical, right? Like, life is so much more magical for me today than it was even 3 years ago, even 5 years ago. So the fact that like you can do this work for only a few years and really truly invite deep magic into your life, deep feeling, deep emotion, deep body connection. Like this could have taken 20 years for some people to do if they didn't have these tools. But we do have these tools. So what are we going to do with it? We can use the human design system to help us understand what to start tapping into and then bring that into your body. How can you experiment with these pieces one at a time instead of like diving in down the rabbit hole so deep that you forget what you just learned yesterday? Maybe taking it bit by bit and just start practicing, start experimenting. I know you've heard me say this before, right? Like, what does it, your authority actually feel like in your body? If I could give you just one tool, one tip, embodiment practice right now, stop and feel. Before you make a decision, before you do the thing that's on your list, stop and ask your body how it feels. If you're a generator type, you can ask your body a yes or no question. Other than that, you could ask an open-ended if that feels good and just like check in, how do you feel? And if you get no answer, totally fine. Remember, I didn't feel, I don't think anything for a while. It took some tapping, it took constant curiosity, exploration, practicing with the yes and the no, and just closing my eyes. Actually, that's one of my favorite hacks, by the way, is like to close the eyes as you ask yourself something. Because I think what it seems to be is it lets you actually move a little bit deeper into the body and out of the mind. So, to keep it simple, I'll give you some homework. Start with yes or no questions. See what your body says if you're a generator type. If not, it maybe ask an open-ended one. And if you're a generator type, you can ask an open-ended one too. You can just say, how do I feel about this? And if that doesn't work well for you, you can go to a yes or a no. But overall, stop and feel. Just stop and feel. That's what I want you to do instead of binging more information. I promise you that is actually going to integrate this faster and more efficiently than continuing to just read all the books, listen to the podcast, which I love you. Thank you for being here. But also, please practice this in everyday life and see how it shows up for you. And if you are feeling ready to find more embodiment practices, to learn how to turn this temple of your body on in a deeper way, in connection to your design or not, it could just be completely in general. This is the workshop we're doing next week in the Magnetic Rebellion. I have the Magnetic Rebellion as a place for the spiritually curious in general. You do not have to be interested in human design. I do not believe human design is the only answer. That's why I have the Magnetic Rebellion. However, if you're here, I'm guessing you're pretty interested in human design. So we can absolutely pull up your design during the workshop and talk about embodiment practices and see what could work best for you. It is June. Hold on. Let me just double check this date. The workshop is at June 11th at 1 p.m. in the Magnetic Rebellion. You can join us in the link below. It is Embodied Power, Reclaiming Your Body as a Temple of Truth. Literally, this is the most priestess workshop I have done to date. So I'm finally letting that side of me really trickle into the work that I'm doing, especially after like the epic co-create sessions we've been having. Like, did you go to the May co-create? Holy shit. I'm like, I I think I have magical powers. Like this is the kind of magic that you get to play with when you are one, when you feel like you're one with the universe. I mean, of course, that's my gate two talking, but this is your body. Your body is deeply connected to the universe. She wants to be heard by you, or he wants to be heard by you. And I know if you're here, you are feeling very curious about giving your body that time of day. So I'd love to see you in the Embodied Power Workshop. Link in the show notes, or go to themagneticrebellion.com. And maybe I'll see you on Wednesday. Love you. Have a great day.